Hello and welcome to the Pens and Pixels podcast. I'm your host, Cal G, and to my left is the coordinator extraordinaire,
Mike Kent.
The podcast is the place to come to if you want to hear about the art and news of video games, comics, and movies that week.
That's right. We're the... Or PPP.
That's the triple P's.
The triple P's. The sound of us just coming in and out of your lives.
Plants, pollination, and pussy.
Oh, that's awful.
I couldn't think of a P word for a B.
For a bee?
For a bee, yeah. I could plants, pollination.
Oh.
If I could get a P word for some sort of bumblebee, that'd be great. If anyone could hit me up with that, at the Cal G on Twitter.
Poking?
Poking? Pollinate? No, pollinating. That was boring. This week on the podcast, we're going through the newsy news as per usual. And then after the break, we have another After Dark segment. We're going to be going down the things we've watched, read, and played this week. On the lighter side this week, but I can go in-depth with the Cult of Chucky review, so don't you worry.
And I have to go over my experience of finally getting nice and deep into Battle Chasers. It's got some flaws, but it's still an excellent game.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Is there any housekeeping, Mike?
To say thank you to everyone who comes out to the drinking draws. We had a good turnout this week, or this month, again. To those who are in Ottawa who would like to join us, we host a drinking draw, which is, as I've said before, a time where you drink and you draw. So we come out, hang out with some other artists, just have a nice draw time, and share. And then, other than that, I guess technically it was to announce that we are part of CGX this upcoming year, as I've said before. We've arranged some interesting partnerships and sponsors, but we have gotten some confirmations on speakers coming involved. So we'll be hosting an art stream at the conference itself. Pretty much almost turning into half the conference at this point. Cool. It's just turning out really big. There's lots of really neat stuff. We have Adobe potentially signed up as a sponsor, which is really fun. And they're going to be hosting a creative jam very similar to our art jam that we've done before. Lots of other really interesting things. This is all going to be announced after CGX Montreal happens, so this will be happening in Ottawa for ours, and then all the news information will come out. So I think it's another 2 weeks until Montreal happens. And then after that, it should be full bore CGX Ottawa, and we'll have much more fun news coming out about that.
Very cool. And with that, on to the newsy news. God, I wish my dog would just stop. The thing is, yeah, it's just done. There's no more peanut butter in that thing, and he just keeps gnawing on it. What a terrible dog. First up, we got some Marvel news. Some Marvel Cinematic Universe news, as it were. It's the end of the MCU as we know it.
And Kevin Feige feels fine.
Kevin Feige feels just fine.
Just fine. I think he'll be out after this, actually.
We can speculate. That's what we'll read some quotes and we'll speculate on the future here.
Yeah.
All good things come to an end, and it seems Marvel's head honcho Kevin Feige is cognizant of that fact. While doing press for Ragnarok, Uproxx's Mike Ryan asked what fans should expect after Phase 3 concludes with his last, still untitled Avengers picture. Though Ryan notes that Feige has stated before, regarding the conclusions of Phase 1 and 2, that the MCU would feel different in the past, there was something more committed about his comments here. Well, all I'll say is all the films we're working on now, which takes us through to the Avengers Untitled in May of 2019, that's really all we're focusing on. And we're focusing on bringing, by that point, an unprecedented 22-movie continuous shared fictional narrative to a conclusion in a satisfying way.
Yep.
And where we go beyond that, of course, we'll go places beyond that. And of course, we have ideas where we'll go beyond that. But really, it is all good stories. And the series finale of Star Trek The Next Generation said, all good things must come to an end. And part of what makes them special is that there is a finite quality to the best of fictional stories through history. And we wanted to do that at the end of our first 3 phases and 22 movies. How we start anew and wherever we go beyond that is a story for another time. This is really about 10 years on, bringing something onto a head in a satisfying and unexpected way. Furthermore, Feige also notes in the interview that an incessant marketing campaign for future titles we know nothing about can be exhausting, as Marvel has already has the biggest impending slate in town. When asked why there hasn't been an announcement beyond Phase 3's 2014 reveal, that was a particular event to really announce and showcase Phase 3, but I guess it set up the expectation of doing something like that every few years. But the notion we're sitting here and talking and have, 6 films yet to be released? That's more than any other single production entity has in town on the docket. That should be enough. What more do you people want?
Stop asking for more. I've given you all I've got.
Yeah, I mean, so what do you think of this? Do you think he's gonna bounce after this? It must be stressful.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Feige might be done after this. Then again, would he that's that question. I've actually even heard it and seen it in the comment sections and the Twitter and all that kind of stuff. For everyone's saying it should end there. It should end at 22 movies and just be like, okay, let's leave it at what it was. Like, is there gonna be 22 movies at the end? You said, right?
Yeah. So sounds like it.
Like, let's just move on. But the thing is Marvel's never gonna stop. They're not gonna not have fucking.
No, there's gonna be a phase 4.
Yeah. So
like that's what he said. He's like, yeah, we have ideas, but
yeah. But I think it's a really good idea is to move on from the current narrative they have. Like, no more Captain America, no more Iron Man, no more Black Widow, no more. Let's let these characters. They've had their 22 fucking movies, right? Let's take them off in a new direction and start again with a whole new fresh batch and a whole different direction. Even maybe a new different tone and style, right? And I would be much more excited about that because I am excited, quote unquote, for Infinity War because I'm just excited to see the end, but I'm also exhausted, So I would like to see it end. As for will it end, I think Kevin Feige might move on after this. I think so. Yeah.
I mean, he's proven that he can do this already, so anything else he wants, like, they've all been, like, good movies at least.
Yeah.
Like, or, like, what was the worst one? Thor: The Dark World, which is, like, mediocre.
Yeah.
They've all been good, and he's shepherded this universe with one coherent storyline. Like,
he's shepherded.
He can work wherever the fuck he wants.
Yeah. He shepherded 22 films to a solid... Well, I mean, again, just because inside of the 22 there are weaker films, but I have to say 22 excellent movies into an excellent movie franchise to something that is now a standard that every human being on the planet, or every single creator on the planet is trying to replicate horribly.
Yes. Dark Universe, cough cough.
Yeah, and fucking Spider Universe, fucking TV Universe, DC Legends, DCU, everyone. Fucking Harry Potter verse now. You name it.
I would say DC TV shows actually probably have the second best to Marvel, surprisingly. They keep everything coherent, and but they basically just do one crossover a season.
Yeah.
They're like, Arrow's gonna see Flash. We did it.
Yeah.
We knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. I mean, as for like how exciting and interesting all that is at this point, I'm like, But still.
I stopped watching Flash. It just became the same thing after a while.
Yeah, it's the
over
same
and over.
with Arrow, the rest of them, it's all the same shit over and over again.
I agree with you as to where you'd like to see it go, but I feel like we're going to see a lot of people leaving, so yeah, like we won't maybe have any more Captain America, maybe no more Iron Man, but like for the ones who have only been in it for a short time, like Doctor Strange, who's only been in like one movie so far, Ant-Man even, like to keep Paul Rudd on, keep Benedict Cumberbatch on, and like they go forward and like are part of the new Avengers or whatever the fuck they're doing.
I don't know if Doctor Strange would disappear, but I don't think that Benedict Cumberbatch, I think that's why he kind of agreed to do it this late, and as it is, right?
I think so.
Well, come on. Benedict Cumberbatch is one of those actors. He's going to go out there and do more fucking... what was the one where he played Alan Turing?
Yeah, The Number Game or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw it. I forget what it's called.
Yeah. Beautiful movie. But he's that kind of actor. He's going to want to do more of that. He wants to have a diverse portfolio of what his life is going to be. Like, his career is going to be like... As much as he enjoys the MCU, I think once it comes to a head, he can be like, all right.
Think so?
I think he would.
I bet they fucking have that fucker locked in for like 16 movies because he came on late. So I feel like they just redid the contracts because they've already had so many problems with Robert Downey Jr. and shit. They're just like, you're a big name actor. You got to sign your life away to us for 16 movies. This doesn't include appearances in other movies though. And he's like, okay. He's like, well, Sherlock's ending. Like, fuck it.
Now we're picturing kind of just fucking like Devil Flanders with like the flaming pen. Careful, hot pen.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, and like, yeah.
Like, for a donut, sure.
His agent's like, Marvel Cinematic Universe is huge right now. You gotta be in there, Benedict.
He's got like claws while he's doing it.
You're hurting me.
Or it's like from some like seductress demon or something like that, and all the words come out in like black spells that are sliding into his ear.
Okay, well, I'll sign on for 16 as long as you make Martin Freeman's turn 16 too. Deal. Stamp.
He's in there too, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he totally is.
You just keep coming back as different characters, though.
He's part of the Shield or whatever, whoever's containing Bucky now.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has a much less like big role.
No, but he just keeps coming back as like different characters, but every single time he's always Doctor Strange's assistant somehow.
That'd be great. He's Igor. All right, let's talk a little bit more about Marvel Comics. So this is kind of a fun story, just because everyone today would just kind of like collectively like scratch their head and we're like, nah, comic books. Marvel makes it canon that it's only been 2 years in the comics since Civil War. If you don't remember, that's when Iron Man and Captain America fought in the comics. It was a huge event, big deal, like probably one of the biggest Marvel events even in the last like
decade.
Yeah, I mean, it happened 11 years ago, and even then, like, even the events they've had since then have not been as big in my mind. I feel like Civil War was kind of like, it got, like, mainstream coverage of, like, the heroes are fighting.
But to clarify, just so anyone understands what that means, is they're saying that in the comic book timeline, like, in the amount of time that's passed in the comic book, it's only been 2 years. Even though in the real world for publishing, it's been 11 years since it happened.
Yeah, so I hadn't said that part yet.
Yeah.
So it was just revealed in an issue of Runaways that it's been 2 years since Civil War. When in fact it's been 11 years in real world time. Which, I mean, and that makes the, you know, if you think about it, you're like, okay, like I'm reading Venom month by month right now, and it's like, yeah, his adventure right now isn't spanning a month, it's probably spanning like a day, you know, in his world.
But I gotta think about shitty fucking lives for these people in this comic book world. Because if that's the case, and all this shit happened in 2 years since it happened, that means every day they woke up, there was a worldwide threat.
Oh yeah.
Every day.
So here's what happened in this 2 years in the Marvel universe.
So on Monday, the Civil War started.
Between Tony Stark and Steve Rogers.
And then on Tuesday, Thor came back from the dead.
Hulk came back from space and laid waste to New York City.
That was a Wednesday.
A cosmic war is fought against the Annihilation Wave for a year, which almost reaches Earth before the space-based heroes and villains can stop it.
Which actually happened at lunch.
Skrulls have infiltrated superhero teams, S.H.I.E.L.D., etc. is revealed, and an invasion and war is fought.
Wait, how does that make any sense, actually? If we go back, Cosmic War is fought in the Annihilation Wave for a year.
Yeah.
So it was a full year of the 2 years was taken up doing that, and the rest of this happened in last year?
Dude, this is what we're about to read makes no fucking sense.
That's the thing.
There's a year, there's 2 8-month time skips.
Yeah.
It's
It
16
doesn't add
months.
up.
No, it doesn't add up at all.
So I guess to them a year adds up to a lunch break.
Osborn's dark reign begins and ends. Ultron takes over a space sector and builds up an invasion force to take Earth, but is defeated by the Proto-Guardians of the Galaxy, Nova, Warlock, and Quasar. Steve Rogers returns. The Siege of Asgard is fought. An invasion of corrupted heroes and villains from another universe happens.
So right now we're just like halfway through January.
Yeah. A schism forms between Scott Summers and Logan. Everyone in New York City gets spider powers for a day. Xavier dies in the war between the Avengers and the X-Men. Ultron kills humanity before time travel fixes everything. Thanos attacks Earth while the Avengers are off in space. A massive cloud of Terrigen is released to create new Inhumans. The Watcher is killed. Wolverine is encased in adamantium and killed. The Red Skull steals Xavier's brain.
Which should be liquid by this point, but alright.
I forgot that happened. Dozens of spider people from up around the multiverse team up to survive. An 8-month time skip happens. The multiverse is destroyed and rebuilt. An 8-month time skip happens. Again. It just goes on and on.
Yeah.
It's fun to look at this shit.
But literally, if you put this into like a reality context, like it is true. Like every single day, like if you decide to become a superhero and you live in this world, you wake up on a Monday and then Las Vegas is destroyed, and then you wake up on a Tuesday and the Red Skull steals Xavier's brain and becomes Red Onslaught and then is defeated. That was just that day. Like every morning you wake up must be a living fucking hell.
Oh yeah, you gotta be committed.
Like, the literal thing of, like, in the old days of the comic books when Spider-Man would wake up and be like, I have a date with Mary J. Oh, no, I've got to stop Dr. Octopus, right?
Oh, yeah, he has no chance now.
Yeah, like, this is just fucked. Like, you're spending your entire life just waking up, and then even in the middle of that, you're like, I stopped Doc Ock, and then fucking Galactus comes down and scoops at a section of the planet, and you're like... It's like that job that never gives you a fucking break, but, like, beyond that, like, every 5 seconds, literal nuclear apocalypse.
You just see Galactus coming through space at you, and you're like, fucking Wolverine can deal with
that. But you gotta think about this as an average civilian. What reason do you have to have children or continue life on this planet if every day an intergalactic
the cities are always fine in the first panels.
Yeah.
Everything's totally fine.
Would you breed in that world? Would I be like, I'm going to produce an offspring to live in this world where, like, everything explodes?
Terrifying. I'd need to be like... I'd be like, okay, well, the next time the multiverse is destroyed, I want to go to the safe world.
Yeah. I would, like, choose, like, the dumber, like, the non-threatening worlds. They're like, in this world, there's only 2 superheroes. That one. Like,
in this one, it's just, everyone's a duck. It's just Duck World. It's Howard the Duck.
Done. Best
like,
world yet.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'll breed with the ducks.
The world with no shrimp. I'll go there.
No shrimp. Sure, fine.
It's a Buffy reference.
Oh, I don't even know.
They were talking in Buffy about like all the multiple dimensions has an infinite variation of dimensions, right? And it was a running joke is in the beginning, I think it was one of the witches. Oh yeah, it was Tara. Says that like there's a universe with like upside down gravity. There's a universe where there's like acid for like water, and then she's like, there's even a universe with no shrimp, and they're all excited like, oh, the universe with no shrimp, you know. And everyone thought that was funny, but then it happened again later on in the Angel series when they had an interdimensional demon take over one of the characters, and she's just like, I've been to all the universes, and she's like describing all these grand universes, and she's like, even one where there were no shrimp. And she's like, I found that universe vexing. And you're just like, because they keep bringing up the universe with no shrimp.
Do you like shrimp?
I love shrimp.
Me too.
You do?
Yeah. Why?
Oh no, you're sorry. It's your girlfriend this weekend, right?
Yeah.
I just realized you just ate a fucking beef burger
say,
with me.
I was like,
wait a minute.
burgers. You just look at me like, Cal's a bad vegetarian. Goes on with his life. I'm always worried though because my dad has developed a big allergy to shellfish, like just randomly when he's like 45.
Yeah, my mom did that salmon,
and I was like, I'm scared now, especially when I was living alone and stuff. I never would get anything like that because I was like, what if my throat swells up and I die? So I just never got
but
it.
You swell up about everything else. It's probably like just like the trade off. Like you can still eat shrimp, but you can't touch anything.
Yeah, no, it would just be I was scared, so now I haven't probably had shellfish now in like quite a few years.
Yeah, I mean, but that's better to not have it, right? Because the more you're exposed, the more, like, it's like eating milk a lot, right? You can actually develop a lactose intolerance from drinking too many milk products.
Really?
Yeah. It's, if you don't expose yourself to it all the time, it's actually easier, honey.
Really? I would think it's the opposite. For food. Yeah, just because you're like, I'm pouring this into my body the whole time, like, you should be, like, you have an immunity to it.
Well, it's because we're not supposed to be breaking it down, because we're not technically supposed to be eating it, right? Because, like, milk isn't actually something that we're supposed to be eating.
Yeah.
Right? And it actually, everyone is lactose intolerant in the very beginning. We just built up that tolerance, right? But it doesn't matter how tolerant you are. Like, everyone, if you're the fucking Princess Bride and you're like, I developed an immunity to iocane powder, and then he just starts chugging it, your immunity only has so far it can go.
True. Well, I just thought about, like, allergies. Like, you know, I'm allergic to cats, but, like, we own 2 cats. But the cats don't make me sneeze. But if I go to someone else's house and I haven't been around those cats, an hour and a half in, I'm, like, watering my eyes and I'm sniffling and stuff. So I just thought about it like that.
Kind of.
Not really, yeah. Kind of not really. My mom's best friend also had to stop eating eggs, which was her favorite food. She just, like, randomly one day just developed a huge allergy. Which would suck. It was your favorite food.
I feel like as we're evolving, we're just evolving to suck more.
Oh, yeah, like, humans suck. Like, if you're, like, allergic to grass, which I am, I kind of feel like you shouldn't be alive. You know, like, if something that small is so inconvenient to you and you're so shitty, like, shouldn't our genes have been bred out by now? You know? Like...
Yeah, it's the same thing with peanut allergies, just like Louis C.K.'s died. So of all the things that can kill you, I guess some other things that can kill you are also mutants.
Yes! In slightly Marvel-related news, this is Fox, I believe. Fox Marvel.
It's still Marvel. New Mutants is Marvel.
Yeah, it's under the Fox banner, though. This isn't MCU related.
No.
New Mutants trailer proves movie may be X-Men franchise's first real horror movie. So, Mike, you seemed more surprised at this than I did.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, when we discussed it before, we were talking about subjects to bring up. You're right. We had talked about the fact that they were turning New Mutants into a horror film.
Yeah,
right?
Like they said.
But I would
they
never...
were even talking big game. They were like, we're going to do a sick horror movie and all this shit.
But the fucking God, with like fucking Wonder Woman, they're like, it's going to be the grandest action sequence ever, and you're like, well, it's a fucking superhero movie, of course. Like, you know, that's what happens. So like, I didn't even think like the advertising it was going to sell it as horror, because you're talking about Marvel, you're talking about superheroes, you're talking about the MCU, everyone trying to leech off of that and make things as close to it as possible.
Yeah.
But you know, I didn't even contemplate in my head with like Fox when they did Legion. Legion is all in that same thing, but it's way the fuck out from anything, and that's what made it great. So when I saw this and the ad and the actual movie itself and the whole thing was like a horror movie trailer, like
completely,
like
100%,
100% of the formula of a horror movie trailer, I was kind of like, whoa, shit, they're really going into that like truly horror-esque. I thought it was just going to be. Like
if they didn't have that Marvel tag at the very beginning, I would have been like interesting
horror movie.
But I guess I didn't know the New Mutants name, but yeah,
exactly. And that's the thing too, right? Like when I was thinking horror, I was thinking like, oh, they're just gonna go like Sin City levels and make it really graphic and disturbing and upsetting. Not going to be like boo jump scares or any real true honest to god horror context in any fashion. I thought they were just like going like it's a scarier, grittier mutant version, and that was it. And then when I saw this, I'm like, holy fuck, they really went like.
hard in that direction.
Which I'm so happy about, though, because you and I have been talking about, like, fucking
exactly
changing the direction. Right?
Well, I mean, superhero genre can wedge itself into any other genre, really, and be like a mashup of both things, right? Like we were talking about, like Squirrel Girl could be a fucking romantic comedy, or and still, you know, there could be some action and stuff like that, but like it would be like a predominantly romantic comedy, and that could be like fun.
Yeah,
you know.
And I'm just so happy. I think Fox is taking the right idea. Like, let's not try and follow in the footsteps like the DCEU is doing, and follow in the footsteps of what Feige has done with the MCU. Let's literally take in a different direction, which kind of gives me hope for the other ideas, because like Fox is doing the whole Spider-Verse thing, right?
No, it's Sony.
No, what else is Fox is doing? Fox is doing
Deadpool.
Right, well, there's even then. There you go. Again, same thing. Falling into that track of let's try the other directions of comic books, because comic books do that all the time. They even change out their things. Like, suddenly Deadpool's fucking fighting zombies on a zombie planet. Like, just because, you know?
Yeah.
Like, that's the fun of the comics. So let's explore these different avenues. And if you think about creatively, like, what you could do with the subject matter that is, like, the mutants and the X universe and all that kind of stuff, like, there'd be some fucking crazy shit.
Yeah, especially for something like horror.
Yeah, and they covered it in the fucking comic books. Like, I mean, hell, New Mutants could have been gone. They could have even just done Moira McTaggart and had her fucking whole entire, like, plethora of creepy mutants that are all, like, unfunctional, and done some sort of psychological drama of, like, fucking One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, right? Like, it totally works, and I'm just, like, I'm thrilled to see that it wasn't just like, oh, this is going to be edgy, and it comes out and it's just fucking X-Men 2.
I think I just, they said we're going hard horror, and I just...
You took it at face value?
I took it at face value, never thought about that again until today when the trailer dropped, and I was like, oh, that's what they said they were going to do. I didn't doubt them, I didn't believe in them.
I had so much doubt.
There was nothing. I was just like, I'm more interested in it now, for sure. Like, now it's actually on the map for me. But yeah, like, I was just like, they said, they did, thumbs up.
Well, 2 points I think I want to also hit on it is, first off, like, what do you think they're going to do scares-wise to make it... Because, like, all of the horror in it would be mutant powers. Yeah. So what's the horror? Is it going to be more about the Doctor?
No, I mean, it looked like... I mean, that the dude from Stranger Things, that was him, right? In there? Yeah. Like, he was walking up to something very slowly, and then a hand came out, and it was fire. Yeah. That's spookier than a regular hand, because, hey, you can get burned, too. I think it's just typical shit like that.
But you think it's just all going to be based on just the mutants? Because, like, then the horror element really does die. That was my interest in, like, the idea.
Well, it seems like they're in this, whatever, sanatorium or whatever, right? So
yeah. But I'm wondering, is, like, is the horror element going to be in the sanatorium and then, like, they're all crazy? Is it going to be they're in the sanatorium and, like, they're walking around and they're seeing, like, all the creepy shit that's happening in it? Or is it just...
For sure, there's going to be, like, a history of the sanatorium. They're going to see the past of what they've done to other mutant kids there. Probably, and like, oh, this was horrible. This was like the fucking Holocaust for mutants or something, and then
that's a cool idea.
They'll break out or something.
I just was never expecting to be excited about this, and I think it also comes from the fact that, as myself, I read the New Mutant comics when I was a kid, and it was as fluffy as it comes for the first little bit, and then it got really dark. But
Mike just looked disturbed there because he can't see us. It got real dark and he shifted his eyes.
I was just thinking over the timeline of where it kind of starts getting a little bit more fucked up, and I'm like, oh yeah. But I mean, like, one of the first comic books I ever read of the New Mutants was one of the girls' powers is one of the lame powers who, like, I think she empathically, like, feels other people's feelings.
I remember us talking about this. Yeah. I mean, since we've been doing this podcast, this has, like, come into as an idea, as a rumor. It's been confirmed. Then they were like, yeah, we're making New Mutants, and Mike was like, fucking New Mutants, and he went on this rant about this exact character to describe, and then they were like, we're going a horror direction. We were like, huh? And then now this, and it actually looks okay. Yeah. It's kind of interesting to see.
Well, like, in that one issue that I would read as a kid, like, that girl, she's Native American, and she, like, was feeling fucking people's emotions, and then she started having a dual personality where she became a stunt bike rider who kept coming in and saving the day with her stunt bike riding skills.
That'd be fun in this movie.
Yeah, like, and that was it. Like, she'd show up and, like, one of them can turn into a fucking human cannonball and fly around and be invincible, and then she shows up and saves the day with her flip tricks. Like, it was literally that as one of the panels. And I'm like,
okay, what if they take that though, and instead of her being like Evel Knievel, she's like Bruce Campbell from The Evil Dead, and she's like, and you know, what if there are other mutants in there they have to kill, and like everyone else is like, what the fuck, and she's like, groovy, just rev up her hand and shit. Like, that'd be fun. I'd be down with that.
It's like multiple personalities. She keeps like slapping between the two.
Yeah, she's like one side of her is Bruce Campbell, the other side is
It's like a little meek little girl.
Yeah.
It just keeps switching at like random moments.
That could be funny in a horror movie too.
Yeah.
There could be a good element of like self-awareness there.
It's like the big threat comes out. It's this giant monster of some kind. Yeah. Right, and she's just like in a corner sucking her thumb. And then it's like, where the fuck are you? And
then like the fucking monster like chops her hand off the thumb she's sucking.
Yeah.
Turns back into Bruce Campbell and he's like, not again. And then like the hand is fucking running around like an evil dead. That'd be great. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to this now. Like again, I just didn't think about it at all, so I just wasn't nearly as like shocked as you. I think it wasn't a thing for me.
Yeah, I'm just happy to be excited about another.
Totally, you're right though. Like in your fear, like if this had been on my mind, like this totally couldn't have gone the direction of like here's X-Men 0.5. You know what I mean? Like
it's just fucking generation.
A new
X.
generation of music.
Yeah, like here's your fucking Teenage Mutants to appeal to your teeny boppers. Like that's what I thought they were gonna run for. No, and I can understand that fear. Yeah. All right, next up. Rumored Akira director wants manga adaptation, promises not to whitewash. Yeah, so this is actually, for me, kind of a really interesting topic in my head, because we've had so much, I don't know, drama around fucking Japanese content coming over to the States. You know, like we have to bring in a major actor, so we get fucking Scarlett Johansson as a Japanese woman, basically. Yeah. But I mean, as a question that we'll kind of tackle later on as we talk about this part is also like, if all we can do is hire directly only Japanese people every time a Japanese show shows up, is that really the best choice? Like, shouldn't we be having just anybody take that just because they said? I mean, Akira is different. Akira is set in Tokyo.
Not. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. I mean, if Death Note was written and it originally took place in Seattle, then yeah, like that's totally fine. But if it's a Japanese-made thing that takes place in Japan, then yeah, I think or it's portraying Japanese characters.
Yeah, I'm fine with that part. But the director was quoted on this part. He's a rumored director for Akira, and he has a lot of great ideas to build up and make Akira, which is probably the quintessential Japanese anime ever.
Yeah. Like for Japanese animation, it's probably
all the others should have been skipped, and they should have just been waiting for Akira to launch the whole thing.
You'd think, right?
Because like this is the one that would do it. Actually, I would have thought Ghost in the Shell could have, but anyways, so
Akira's always been so weird to me as like the thing that like is, I don't want to say mainstream, but it's like the big Japanese thing that people are like, oh yeah, I've heard of Akira, I've seen Akira, like kind of stuff. It's fucking weird.
It's fucking weird.
It's not like normal. Like,
no, it's not. Not at all. Right?
It's really not like a thing that I would have thought would like, oh yeah, that'll blow up in America.
Yeah, someone with psychic powers de-evolved into a giant human amoeba.
Yeah.
Like,
it's super odd. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking weird. And like Akira's veins survive in jars for him to come back to life. Like, what? You know.
It's hot.
But inside of his quote, he goes, if we were going to be bringing in actual Asian actors, he goes, yeah, actual Asian teenagers would be the way for me to do it. For me, and probably not like no name. I mean, sort of unfound, untapped talent. I'd like probably want to take it back a bit more towards the books, which I think is a really great idea. Because I was thinking back to times we have accomplished this, and when we take out and we pull someone. So Slumdog Millionaire was a book. Right, and it got made into a big, huge hit movie. And the actor they pulled from there had been working in India before, but not known in North America. And they pulled Dev Patel out and put him in that forefront. And now he's a main actor. He's in all sorts of stuff. He's very well regarded. He's done some good things. I think he was. The one with the tiger in the boat.
Life of Pi.
Life of Pi. He was Life of Pi, right?
I don't know. I'm checking right now.
Yeah, let's double check.
When I was in...
Oh, he did Chappie. I read that for sure.
When I was in grade 10, I got to do a poster instead of a book report for Life of Pi.
Oh.
And I put Samuel L. Jackson on the raft with the tiger.
Ah!
And it said, get this motherfucking tiger off my motherfucking raft.
Oh, maybe it's
You can tell what year it was, for sure.
No, it's not Dev Patel.
No, he was Princess Zuko, or Princess. He was Prince Zuko.
He was Princess Zuko in the fucking movie. He was Princess Zuko in The Last Airbender. Yeah, that's accurate. But either way, like I love the idea of pulling that out. I would love to have them pull out some fresh talent from Japan and like find some randos and toss them in there. Especially get a good exposure and connection. This is part of the thing that people are talking about is that like North America and Bollywood are starting to meet a lot of times because of the merger between the two markets are starting to share a lot as both of them have grown. But Japanese stuff, we would just watch the fucking trailer for the Tokyo Ghoul live action movie.
Yeah.
Hasn't looked like it's changed at all. Like they don't feel like they don't put any effort in whatsoever. They're just like live action.
They look like TV movies.
Yeah, and it looks like still the classic 90 like Ninja Gaiden fucking the TV shows, which were like basically Sailor Moon, right?
Yeah. Super Sentai.
It's like it looks like a play that's going to be on the stage in downtown Tokyo. You know, I would love to see the merger over of those two, considering the Japanese content is a better source of stories than half of the shit we have left.
I just like how weird Japan's shit is. Like, again, Akira is like, I don't want to say they're Disney over there, but it's like this huge big thing, and it's like, this is fucking odd. Evangelion's fucking odd. Like
Evangelion's fucking odd, yeah.
And like, it's a huge thing over there. It's on advertisements for everything. Yeah. It's like, this is what, really? It'd be like I can't even think of an American, like, similar thing. It'd
be like the Clockwork Orange being on everything.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it'd be like the Clockwork Orange being on like a McDonald's ad.
Yeah. Or what's the other fucking movie that was called? Delicatessen, done by one of the fucking directors there. The really crazy ass director.
The one who did Antichrist? Lars von Trier?
No. Oh god, he did. I think he used to be one of the Monty Python guys. Yeah, he was one of the Monty Python guys. I forget his name. I don't know. But he makes really fucked up shit.
Yeah, so yeah, you're right though. I would love to see a lot of Japanese stuff getting, influencing stuff over here too.
But this is a question, right? Like, so this guy says, I actually love the books, love the movie, but I would not do a remake of the movie. I would do an adaptation of the books, which is slightly different, not by much, but it is different.
I never read the books.
It's fairly different. I don't know why he's even making a distinction. They are different, just not enough for you to worry about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, so anyways, there's been some chats about him directing it. So, like, when it comes down to like being loyal to the material, you're right. Like, take Evangelion. Evangelion is about all the failed attempts at evolving humanity from primordial soup, coming back as giant robot monsters, while you inject yourself into the spinal fluid of another giant robot monster designed based on those to fight them. But it's actually all a giant plan from an organization that wants to return all humans into a soup that is primordial goo, that you do by removing the intrinsic electrical field that holds our bodies and cells together.
Yeah.
Which is also somehow a semblance of God, and that Shinji is actually God, and so is his Eva unit that he's in, and then that's why it gets impaled, and he goes like all Christ in the air and turns into a cross, which is the actual source of all creation and turns us all into primordial soup. If
Evangelion was made here in like the early 2000s, it would just be like a kid gets a giant robot to control from the inside.
Yeah.
There'd be no fucking primordial goop or ooze or any of that.
But today we would attempt that, and everyone would just be like, I don't know how you make it translate over sometimes, right? Like, I thought Ghost in the Shell would have worked, but you're right. Akira, Evangelion, some of the definitely more cerebral anime stuff, I almost don't see how it translates over.
It's weird, yeah, but it hits so big over there. It's weird that it doesn't over here. Like, obviously, like people like us like it, so.
Yeah, but in their culture, in Japanese culture, this kind of stuff is very popular. It has been in their old books and their old stories, right? Their old horror stories are very odd, right? Very weird, like psychedelic, like things happening to people's minds, etc. All about the spirit.
There's that fucking monster in Japanese culture that's like, it's just legs and an ass.
Yeah.
And there's like no anus, it's just a face. Like, it would be terrifying, I guess, if it was coming down the street at you. I was like, what's it gonna do?
It just starts like kicking you in the shin.
Is it gonna reverse poop me? Like, I don't understand.
No, but you know what I mean. Like, a very different level of thinking.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So I'm very curious to see what they take with it. Do you think with, and this is the last thing, do you think with the Akira they would go full, like Akira, because he's saying the books?
Yes.
And do like full nature of evolution / human amoeba /
I think so.
Yeah?
I think they do. Yeah, I think they'd go full bore.
Full bore?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would get... Oh, that's it. Terry Gilliam.
If they're gonna let... Who?
That's the director for Delicatessen and a bunch of weird movies, is Terry Gilliam. I would get Terry Gilliam to do fucking
I love that your brain was slowly cranking gears in the background still.
Yeah.
I totally forgot about that.
I was working and I'm talking like blah, 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 and I'm going through the names.
No, yeah, I think they'd go full bore, and I think the fact that, he says he promises not to whitewash it, I think a lot of whitewashing comes from producers and higher up executives who want no, we need a Tom Cruise to be in this, otherwise no one's gonna fucking see it, or so, whatever, right? I think he's already making this as like a thing where he's like, I'm not doing this, which is like what everyone wants, because like whitewashing has been such a huge deal, even something smaller like the Hellboy movie where they cast a dude who was like half Asian as not an Asian guy, and they were like, everyone was like, fuck that, and they recast him. So
that has to be a boundary though, half Asian kind of thing, because like if you find a Asian North American, right? Even if it's just second generation or first generation, third generation, right? Asian North American, sure they didn't get born in the country, but they still are Asian. Yeah, it doesn't mean they don't have a cultural pride in where they came from. Yeah, like George Takei. Let's just say George Takei was like 30 years old. Sorry, and you could hire him into fucking Akira. Like, yeah, I would fucking hire George Takei.
Yeah. Sorry to clear things up though. The character's half Asian. They hired a white guy. It wasn't half Asian.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said they hired a half Asian guy for an Asian role.
No. Half Asian character. They hired a white guy.
Okay, yes, that's bullshit.
Yeah, no, so what I'm saying is, like, if he's already promising not to do this, and they're gonna let him do that, then they probably don't have any problems with giant baby growing over the streets, into a giant flesh mass, Yeah. Well, they're probably more worried about the fact that there isn't a white male lead than they're about this giant baby. Appealing to Americans, They're like, whatever, swing and a miss with a giant baby.
The guys come into the fucking pitch room and they come in and like, we've got to sell the whole giant baby amoeba scene and the crushing of the girl inside. So like, this is going to be a tough sell to get past the ESRB. So they come in and you got this whole pitch. It's like, so the entire story behind this and the deep meaning behind the amoeba baby isn't going through the whole pitch, blah blah blah. And like halfway through, like, no, stop, okay, amoeba baby done, no problem. But is your main actor? Is it Tom Cruise? Yeah. And you're like, no, it's a Japanese guy. They like him over there.
A bunch of worried.
They're all like, and someone goes outside. It's like an emergency.
Yeah. They run out sweating. Someone comes back in with a big heavy notebook. It's just like big book of white guys, and they flip open the page and they're like, okay, well, we've made some concessions, and I think it's fine that you have an Asian main actor. Yeah. Could the giant baby be Tobey Maguire? They're like, what the fuck?
And it's like every time they keep checking every time like a monster is goes up. So is it a white monster? It's a dog.
Could the motorcycle be played by Matthew McConaughey? And every time it revs, it's hey hey hey. We really think people would like that one.
Yeah, well done.
All right, next up, owners of the Breaking Bad house put up a fence to stop pizza throwers. If you don't know, in Breaking Bad, the character of Walt tries to bring a pizza home to his family who he's trying to reconcile with at some point. They don't let him in. They say just like, fuck off, whatever. Mm-hmm. He says, but I have dipping sticks, which is an infamously quotable line from the show. They say no, lock the door. He walks halfway down his driveway and just tosses his pizza on the roof out of frustration. Mm-hmm. There's this great shot of the pizza on the roof or whatever. People just go by this house now, which people live in. People live in this house.
Yeah, it was rented out by the company to shoot the show.
Yep, and now people just go by there and keep throwing pizza on the fucking roof. Why?
Do you think that nobody lives there? Like, are they not just like if they're just standing out front? And there's like a woman playing with her kid, like la 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 la, and then you're just like, oh, obviously they're acting. Like what the fuck?
Okay, millions of people around the world know the Northeast Heights home is the one owned by the teacher turned meth kingpin Walter White in the AMC show Breaking Bad. But it's not. It belongs to real humans. After taking years of vandalisms, trespassing, and general rudeness in stride, the real-life homeowners have said enough is enough. It's off limits. For Joanne Quintana, it's been a pretty ridiculous 4 years. We feel like we can't leave because when we do, something happens and it's ridiculous. On a weekly basis, Quintana says she loses count of how many people come to the house. Over the first Balloon Fiesta weekend, she estimates it climbed into the hundreds. In 15 minutes, the KOB news crew counted nearly 10 tourists. It can get nasty. Some even steal rocks from the landscaping as souvenirs.
What the fuck?
Let's stop there for a second.
Yeah.
I got this rock. It's cool, man. It's from the Breaking Bad house. Oh, I recognize it now. Like, it's not a piece of fucking, like, hair or a lock of hair or something,
Yeah, it could have taken anything. It's like taking a patch of grass and he's, like, keeping it alive in a terrarium or something.
This saw just from
Breaking Bad. Like, no, it's not.
They feel the need to tell us to close our garage, get out of the picture, tell us what to do on our own property. The fence should be completed soon, but Quintana said people have already tried to climb around the construction to get a picture. We don't want to gate ourselves in, but we're the ones being locked up. We did nothing wrong.
Oh, God. Poor lady.
That's super sad.
It is super sad. Oh, but God damn it, people. Like, seriously, it's someone's home. You couldn't give it a certain realm of respect.
I could maybe see wanting to get a picture on the sidewalk in front of the house.
Yeah.
Maybe. Like, I don't even think it would occur to me personally, but
no, I
can
do
see
get
that.
I do get that part, but I would always be very cognizant of being about violating the home, right?
Totally.
Like if I saw the home and I saw a bunch of cars in and the lights on and someone at the TV, I probably would be like, all right, I shouldn't take the picture right now.
Is that Walt? Like,
yeah. It's like, do you think it's real or something? Like I would always be concerned about. A good example. Yesterday, I was home all day, my day off, everything was fine and grand. Just in my PJs in my house, playing games, and then suddenly I sounded like someone walked into my fucking backyard. I don't have a fence blocking off my backyard yet.
Mm-hmm.
There was. Someone's dog had gotten into my backyard and he was walking around back there, and he kept on yelling at his dog to come, and he wouldn't go over and grab it, and he was there for like 15 minutes. And I was just like, in my house going, do I go outside and tell this guy to get off my fucking property? Because this is really intrusive. You're in my backyard.
Totally.
Right? Like, I can't imagine.
No, that would be
going over
annoying.
to someone else's fucking house and being like, I need a shot from the back because the eaves. That's the eaves. That's on the episode 3 where the
Can we go back to the pool? Yeah,
Yeah.
behind the pool.
Yeah.
Someone just tossing pizza on your roof, like leaving it there.
Yeah, like I wouldn't even do that on a fucking God, toilet papering someone's tree on Halloween is barely like okay.
Yeah, no. It's fucking crazy. People are so stupid. I don't understand the appeal of doing any of that shit.
And what is this memorabilia going to mean to you? Like, I mean, for fuck's sakes, some of the great shows in history that have been around forever, right? Like, 20 years from now, is that rock going to sit on yours and be like, that's the Breaking Bad rock? Like,
yeah.
Is it still going to matter that much?
That's almost the most ridiculous one to me.
Yeah.
It's a fucking rock, dude. Like, come on.
As a matter of fact, I can go in my backyard, grab a rock, and claim it's a Breaking Bad rock, and no one would ever know.
No, you could just claim that shit right now.
Yeah.
Do you guys know Mike owns a Breaking Bad rock?
There you go. It's
Next
official.
up, let's get into some gaming news. Tabata, from the director of Final Fantasy 15, talks about what he would like to do with BD2's new IP. Alright, he recently had an interview. Business Division 2, the Square Enix Japan division that made Final Fantasy 15, Justice Monsters 5, and King's Knight, has 20 to 30 people working on their new AAA IP, which will be their next major project. The game isn't even in what they consider pre-production yet.
Yep.
In the meantime, 150 internal staff is working on Final Fantasy 15 updates and DLC. They intend to bring that to a close in 2018.
Oh god, thank you.
At which point, presumably, most of the staff will move to the new IP. The game will be built on the Luminous engine. The reason they're making a new IP is because Square Enix's CEO feels it's very important that they take a major team like this and have them make a new IP, presumably so Square Enix has actually new brands. Tabata notes, both here and elsewhere, that his new IP will be built on top of everything they've learned from Final Fantasy 15. So if you can imagine an ambitious sequel to that game built as a new IP, you're probably on the right track. Tabata has noted that the stuff they added to the game after the fact was also in a pursuit of ideas for their new IP, so assume those kind of things will have prominence too. A quick list would include off-road driving, power suits, timed events, characters that play differently, co-op, and a character creator off the top of my head. He wants there to be lots of new things in the game as well, as both him and the company feel like doing lots of new things in Final Fantasy 15 was very successful. It sounds like online and or cloud computing will be a part of this. Here's the quote in specific. We got quite a lot of technical investigations sorted for that. We've done a lot of investigation about how the online functionality will work, moving away from dedicated gaming machines to cloud processing, how we could use those. A lot of groundwork was done with Final Fantasy 15, so we're in a good position for going into the main development. Tabata also wants the new IP to continue being this big entertainment spectacle, which is based on context and previous statements. I think he means he wants to keep making multimedia stuff, like the tie-in anime and movie, and do even more of that going forward. Yeah, I'd prefer not.
No.
In case people missed it, this new IP is for next-generation consoles, not current generation. And finally, Tabata made it sound like they don't want to announce the game until they have a release date, like this is common with other modern releases, so don't expect to hear about this game formally for quite a while.
This is all really good news.
This is all very positive.
Yeah, so Kyle and I have hit on this on the podcast a lot about the future of Square Enix, right? Like, we're talking, like, we always want to see Final Fantasy being released at Square Enix, but we also want to see a lot of the old Square Enix coming back. We're seeing a bit of that with the indie collective they created with Octopath Traveler.
Yeah, it's Octopath Traveler.
Looking amazing. I Am Setsuna.
Bravely Default.
Bravely Default. They have that fucking mobile version of Final Fantasy that apparently is doing quite well. Mobius?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which actually doesn't even look half bad considering it's a mobile game.
Is it mobile or is it Steam?
I thought it was mobile.
You could be totally right. I'm not sure.
I think it's mobile, that's why I was more impressed by it, because I got a thing on my Twitter today and I was like, that's mobile? But all of that aside, like, we've been looking for that, but also at the same time we missed the major IPs that used to come out for fucking Parasite Eve and we named them off before. But this is exactly what they should be doing. Creating another new fresh IP, investing an entire team back into it, Tabata did a good job with Final Fantasy 15.
He totally did.
He could take and make another. I mean, let's just ignore the fucking add-on bullshit he's been doing for the last 2 years.
I mean, it seems to be successful. All the add-ons to Final Fantasy 15.
Only part that frustrates me is like the add-ons.
I mean, it's not what we want, right?
Yeah.
But
the add-ons to Final Fantasy 15, I could have played that game, ignored the anime and everything else, and should have been able to do that. That's the part that got me. I think,
totally.
With the add-ons, and then also the game I played felt incomplete, and then apparently now the game is complete.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant all the add-ons afterwards, like these updates and stuff. You mean
that too.
the tie-ins of the anime and stuff. Yeah, no, you're right. I agree with you. Anime, all that stuff. I should have been able to get that information in the game.
Mm-hmm.
The updates after the fact. I almost wish that like Final Fantasy 15 was delayed a year and we just played the full versions. Because I'm not going to play it again anytime soon, but like it sounds like I'm missing a lot.
Yeah, there's a fuck ton. I've been looking it up and looking at videos of it, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, this is the portion of the game that's been gone. I wish all this was in the fucking game.
Yeah.
And I lost my save file in my notorious PS4 crash. So I'm going to go back and replay it at some point, probably over Christmas. And I highly expect to come back and tell you guys about this incredible game that never existed when I first played it.
Yeah.
I really wish that component was in there. But if Tabata rearranged things to be like, okay, all those components that he's added on recently, so this 3 story chapters he created for the other side characters, the different expansions, etc., story, backstory, expansion missions he also just added in. And I think there's some other like side quest gameplay functionality he also added. And even new gameplay functionality, period. All of that was in the original game. He could have done the anime, could have done the movie, he could have done fucking chocobo racing with your mobile device while also connecting to this, and all of that shit could have happened. And as long as I could have ignored it and gotten that game, I wouldn't care about him talking about 1,000 expansions. I would have been like, alright, whatever, there are people out there who like that stuff, let them have fun, right? So I will hope that he takes, if you're listening, he takes that to fucking heart and understands that make a better cohesive core game and you can have all the expansion shit you want.
I mean, it sounds like from that one quote, right, about Tabata has noted the stuff they added to the game after the fact is also in pursuit of ideas for the new IP. So
yeah,
it sounds like.
I really hope he does take that context and actually adds it all in. And the only part that makes me a little bit afraid is that he's talking about cloud computing and online components and whether or not he means that's going to be constantly updating it. But on the flip side, if he makes an online game in the context of maybe like Grand Theft Auto 5 or something like that, right? That kind of just constantly gets added to. Yes, I'm down with that.
Sure. Whenever I hear like that generally a single player game is going to have an online component, I always think of, I'm like, it's probably going to be like fucking Dark Souls or something where it's just like, here's a message left.
Yeah.
Have at it. You know,
yeah.
It could be something as small as that.
Here's the shadow of someone who used to be nearby.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and just walks by the screen. You're like, oh, look, someone walked there.
Someone died.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it was all great, good news. Total right direction for Square Enix. They seem to be back on track.
And we probably won't hear about that game until 2020 at this point. At least.
And then add that to the list of also not hearing about the Final Fantasy VII remake until God knows fucking when.
2021.
Yeah.
All right, last story. Xbox One X is not for everybody, says Phil Spencer. Xbox One S will be the market leader for us. It's the more affordable console.
So this pissed me off a little bit.
I don't understand why you're pissed off. You might want to talk about this story.
Yeah.
I thought this was like refreshingly honest and like what the internal from anywhere would be. If you have something else that's priced less than the more like powerful thing, like the cheaper thing's always going to sell.
So there's 2 components. I mean, we're going to hit this on the end, but the next component I also want to talk about is just the understanding of like, are we okay with having a 0.5 in between our generations from now on, or would you prefer just having the full-blown console? But that's for the end. The reason why it was getting to me in the beginning, and this whole part, the reason why this announcement is just kind of like pissed me off when I first heard it, and I was like, is average fucking consumer out there only churns out a certain amount of money and pays for things. Like, some people are only picking up their fucking PS4s like now, right? Yeah. And that's because they literally couldn't afford it. And to go out there and go, okay, well, you can get the more complete experience if you're the kind of person who's going to churn out the larger amount of money to buy the new Xbox One X and then buy the 4K TV to go with it and then get the sound system and the hookup so that you can get the full experience of the entire thing that we're going to get, then you're the kind of person who's going to get that, and we've only made that for you, right? But that wasn't the console world. The console world was, here's your device and everything you need, right? That was the whole envisionment of the PS3. While it was overpriced when it first came out, it was. I literally bought that. I never bought a Blu-ray player. I never bought any system. I just hooked up everything to my PS3, and I watched movies and all that kind of stuff on my PS3 right then and there and use it as my one sole system. I love that mentality. Something about this fucking, like, oh, this is the expensive version, and we have the less expensive version over here. Like,
I see where you're coming from. That in that a console has always been it's one thing here. It works no matter what, whatever. Right? This is the box. Fucking take it.
Yeah, but it's like fucking
I get what you mean by that. I get what you mean by that.
But then we're going to enter into that world where, like, iPhones, we get an iPhone 5, an iPhone 0.5, an iPhone 0.55.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I don't want to have to deal with that shit.
I don't think people really give a shit, to be honest with you.
The gamers don't, because gamers will churn out the money for it. They don't.
I don't even think regular people give a shit about it. They can't. They probably won't notice the fucking difference between 60 frames and 30 frames. You know what I mean? I don't really think it matters to people.
I do. I've talked enough people to say that, like, when they buy something, they want to understand that they are getting the best. Like, even if they don't understand it. I mean, take my dad, for example. My dad isn't the biggest techie in the world and really wouldn't notice the difference or care, right? But he always has to buy the latest and greatest tool because he wants to feel like he bought the best of the latest, greatest thing, right? And then to be given multiple options is where they suddenly get lost and confused, and then suddenly they buy a fucking shitty phone because they don't understand the difference, and then they're pissed off about the shitty phone they get. And this is the world of fucking PCs, right? Like, every laptop out there, and they're like, oh, I thought I went to the guy, and the guy promised me this is the most powerful PC on the market. No such thing. There's too many versions, right? Here's the most powerful phone. There's 10,000 Android types. Like, I don't know if I'm getting the best fucking Android. Is it pure native Android? Is it just a skin on an Android? I'm buying an iPhone. Oh, I got the new iPhone. But then suddenly 2 months later there's an iPhone S, which has a slightly better camera. Like, console world was never really influenced by that. And that's my talk for the future point of it is, like, is it okay now from this point on when we get the PS5? Should we have a PS 5.5? Should we get a Xbox 5? And then even then they'll probably fracture it even further.
I would prefer not, but, like, if they keep doing it, I don't really care. Is what I like personally. I'm not bothered by it. I'm not bothered by the phone things personally. It's just so hard for me to even, like, envision someone giving a fuck. So many people I know don't give a fuck, so, like, it doesn't. It never even, like, registers for me. Some people want the newest, latest, best. Like, my previous roommate, he wants newest, latest, best. He has an Xbox One S that he's planning on trading in for the Xbox One X as soon as it comes out, and a PS4 Pro. You know, like, he wants the best of the best all the time.
About that just pisses me off. It's that planned obsolescence.
I mean, I don't want, like, planned obsolescence is, like, every console ever, right? But, like, like, I forgot the point I was gonna make now. Sorry.
No, but
I got distracted by the phrase planned obsolescence because I haven't heard it in years.
I don't know. This is.
Here's what I was gonna say. I don't think we're ever gonna get to the point where it's like, here's the PS5, and then, you know, a couple months later, here's the PS4 PS5 S, and then like a year after that, they're like, it's the PS5 S Plus, and then I don't think it's going to be that rapid. There's going to be a bunch of different branches of it.
Worse than that. It's going to literally, on the announce date of the PS5, they're going to be like, here's the PS5, the PS5 Slim, the PS 5.5, all on day of release. So. I think it's going to get that bad. I really do. Xbox
tried that last generation, I believe, in the 360 generation. They did an Elite, and they did a Basic, and they did a mid-tier. Like, the Basic one almost had, like, no hard drive. Like, it was hard for developers to, like, even make games around the console because, like, they couldn't just, like, base install or something. Then there's a mid-tier, which was, like, whatever it was. And then there was the Elite one, which was, like, slightly faster internet and also, like, 250 gigs or something. Like, they already tried that, and, like, that didn't quite work. So I can't imagine them all coming out at once and being like, here's 5 different versions from day one. I think people would get confused, and I think they know that.
And that's what I'm worried about. And that's what I feel like this kind of statement says. It's just like, oh, here's your cheaper version. Here's your more expensive version. The more expensive version is really just only for a particular base.
I couldn't see it coming out ever at the same time. But even if it does, if it was only 2, if it was like, here's a slightly more powerful one, runs 60. Here's a slightly less powerful one, runs 30. You know?
I don't know. Just saying not for everybody. It just pissed me off. I was like, all right, fuck you guys. Like, you're.
Why is that? Are you saying? Are you picturing him saying that like it's not for everybody? Like, are you like I'm picturing him saying like, it's not for everybody.
Even then.
Why? What's wrong with that?
It's just it gets to me. It gets me to the whole mindset around technology today, and something that really doesn't need to.
They're to me, they're like refreshingly aware of the fact that like. Not everyone wants the most powerful thing in the universe. Not everyone wants the features that it contains. You know what I mean? Yeah, like, for me, I'm perfectly fine not fucking having it. It's not for me. I'm fine with it existing. I don't give a fuck.
No,
you know,
bothers me.
Is it specifically the console that bothers you,
or you're really trying to figure out the source?
Is it this man saying not for everybody?
It's both. It's both things. It's the product and the statement.
Are you saying like? Why make it if it's not for everybody? Are you saying it needs to be like a thing that appeals to everyone?
It should be a good, standardized, general mark, like every console has been and should be, right? That way the investment of the money is worthwhile. Like, these consoles are not cheap, and to people that don't have the money to turn them out and sit around and use a PS3...
So yeah, this is a thing for, if people think it's worth the money, they buy it. And if they don't, and this thing tanks, and the Xbox One S sells, and this thing sells like 4 units, they'll be, in the future they'll probably be like, we're probably not going to do this again.
Yeah, but people aren't going to do that.
No, you're probably right. Because it's not for everybody, but it's for some people. Go figure. You know what else isn't for everybody?
Still bothers me.
The Cult of Chucky is not for everybody, but it was for me. Find out what I think after dark. Stay tuned.
You couldn't drop that. You're like so baffled. I thought in one direction.
Because the phrase "not for everybody" is so like innocuous. Like it's a good guy phrase. It's like well, what about this? And you're like, oh, don't worry about it. It's not for everybody. Like I get it. And you're like, like it's like you want them to be like, it's like, this is the best console ever made, and you need to have it. Like, is that what you would you rather them say that just to like stick behind it more?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the After Dark segment. Smoky undertones. Rich oak.
Can't get enough of your love, babe.
Can't get enough of this sugar crisp.
My darling.
So this is the segment where we go down what we've been reading, watching, playing. I only have one thing this week, Mike. So do you want to start off with...
I feel like your Cult of Chucky thing is going to be long and mine are short, so I'll start.
Sure, let's do that, yeah.
So first one, I'm just going to hit my usual weekly hit on Star Trek Discovery. Latest episode came out, and it was a pretty good episode. It ended a bit weird, like really abruptly. I hate when shows do that, where like it comes up and you're like, it's like dun dun, and you're like, oh wait, where was the last little dun dun dun? You know, like don't like hold me there for a second. Definitely a little bit more episodic. Covered outside stuff. But the story is taking directions I didn't expect it to go at all. Because like in the last one, it was setting up like, here, our whole arc is that the captain's evil, and you know, the Klingons are a big threat, and then this whole thing's going to happen, blah blah blah. But none of it keeps revealing out to itself. Like at the end of the last episode, they showed the captain's like lab or work or whatever workplace, and he's got like the alien from the episode. He captured it there, and he's got all these like dissected animals around him and stuff. And you're like, oh, well, evil man, evil laboratory, blah blah blah. Well, wait until she finds out about that. Next episode, first scene, he's like, this is my laboratory. And you're like, oh, fuck, all right. He's very transparent. So he doesn't come across as evil. He's just really determined. Sure. But pulled the usual Star Trek science stuff. Some great visuals as per usual. Fucking stunning visuals as per usual. Good Klingon stuff. Really falling in love more and more with the main character. This actress is so good. So good. I love her. I forget her name, but she's the actress from Walking Dead. But again, it's funny. It's an interesting thing to bring up about Star Trek Discovery this week is that I'm starting to find out that there has been actually a huge division between the fucking fan base for Star Trek Discovery. I get the whole thing, like everyone's like, "Oh, my original canon timeline, blah blah blah." Don't care about those nerds. That doesn't affect me. I'm like, this is a new take with a new direction, new everything. But some people are really against it. And they're like, "It's not Star Trek exactly as it used to be." That doesn't work anymore. Any franchise, I don't care Star Trek or not, any franchise that comes out today that you're trying to reinvent, like you bring back fucking Lost in Space, right? That doesn't have to be sci-fi even. It doesn't work anymore. Like in today's contemporary world, you know, we've moved forward in time. Half of the timeline back Star Trek, you'd say, is by this point, is Zephyr Cochrane should be already taking fucking warp flights. And you know, the utopian perfect society is still important to keep inside the Star Trek world, but also provide humanity because we keep looking for more humanity. Like, give me a little bit more, because if you literally started off with plastic sets and everything had bright lighting everywhere and basically they were just going off shooting photon torpedoes again, that already proved to be done. Like, we had what has it been, like a 15-year gap since the last show?
At least, yeah.
You know, and that formula died out because no one was watching anymore. The show's ratings at the end for both Voyager and Deep Space Nine were a record low. They made less money than they ever had before, and the movies were only thing making the money keeping those franchises going. It's okay to be new. A little bit. This is still full homage. Like, I mean, bend
say,
over homage.
What it sounds like to me is that they've carried over a lot of the core values of Star Trek, and it's just completely modernized.
Oh, yeah. Like, I mean, I admit, like, the captain's a little bit dark and a little bit more unhinged, but they're about to go to war, so it's kind of that sort of story. But the main character, Michael, which is a really cool play-up, too. Like, the main character's a woman and they named her Michael. Like, she is a pure, honest-to-God, and so is her former captain, who was played by Michelle Yeoh, who did a fucking fantastic job. A pure, true Starfleet officer, where she's all about exploration, peace, and, you know, not violating, you know, certain rules of the Prime Directive, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like, she's a pure, true Starfleet officer, one that makes you proud to be human, just like all the former Starfleet officers. And there are others around her who do. But there's going to be a few off-characters, and that sets up drama, and that's okay, and that's more of the current genre of TV, and let's merge that together with all the Star Trekness, random technology that is as sci-fi as it goes, but is based on some grounded form of reality.
The trouble with tribbles.
Even then, right? He's even got a tribble in the first episode.
No way.
Yeah,
that's like one of the only Star Trek things I know.
Yeah, not the first episode of the new captain when he came in. She went into his office. He was petting a tribble.
They're little small balls of fur.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I even have one that has a little mic in it. When you shake it, it makes the same sound.
Sick.
That was super fun. But, like, that's the kind of homage they go back to. The Klingon symbol still looks the same. They still call the swords a batleth. It may not look like the original batleth, but it's still a batleth. You know, they still scream when someone dies. They scream their souls into Stovokor, which they still call Stovokor. Like, the core of Star Trek is still there. It's just new.
The Stovokor of Star Trek is still there.
Yeah, that's the underworld or afterlife.
You got Fast and the Furious 9 filming right outside.
Yeah. That was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson taking off into, what was it, Steven Seagal's dick? Who was it?
Jason Statham.
Jason Statham. Why do I always keep picking his name out?
I don't know. You've called him like 3 different actors so far. Let's see how long we can keep that running joke going.
Anyways, it was excellent. So again, recommend Star Trek Discovery. Anyone else who's hating against it, this is an amazing piece of television on its own without thinking about the Star Trek. Even my mother's watching it, and my dad's been a Trekkie his entire life, and she's like run out the door every time he's turned it on. Second thing I watched this week, which I wouldn't have brought up if it wasn't actually really interesting to watch. So I don't know, Kyle, are you at least a fan of Lady Gaga?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Lady Gaga. Just in general, her whole imagery that she used to have, the messaging she used to have, even the new, more contemporary Joanne messaging she's had, and her music. I remember when I first saw Lady Gaga, like Just Dance Lady Gaga way back, I was like, fuck this, I'm not into pop music, I hate pop music, she's just another pop star. And then, I think by accident, my autoplay on YouTube made Lady Gaga's video come up, and it was playing in the music when I was working on the fucking Samurai assignment for concept art.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and I was like, oh shit, and I was like, that was it. It was on repeat, and then her entire album was on repeat, great. And I was just hooked from that point on. So I've got a really big appreciation for it, and then you learn about how actual talented of a singer she is. She's extraordinary. Her live performance of New York is incredible. Her Oscar performance of Sound of Music was extraordinary.
My girlfriend actually has seen her live multiple times, I think.
I would die to go. I haven't gone yet. Super respect. So I thought I'd toss on her new documentary, which was the 5'2" documentary. Brand new documentary, just going into the life of Lady Gaga. She's broken her hip. What was it? 3 years ago? 4 years ago?
Yeah, something like that. It was a while ago.
And then she's been in chronic pain ever since.
Oh,
like pretty badly. So like the whole thing is about her kind of like struggling with the chronic pain while she tried to create Joanne, and then also deal with the fact that she was no longer going to be that over the top fashion icon. She was just going to wear like a tank top and some pants and put on some like tie back her blonde hair and do a kind of like country roots album, which she was terrified of because she thought the fans would all be like, no, this isn't Gaga, this isn't, like, where's the meat dress, where's the, like, I showed up in a giant human drone dress.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one?
No.
It was literally her inside of this giant human drone the size of a truck that flew her down the red carpet.
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good. But like the whole documentary was actually really kind of interesting, and I just have to say, like, the part of it that I found interesting about it was, like, you've seen so much of her personality. She's so about the fans and so about giving and so driven and powered by her work and what she does, and you can tell that passion's in it. That person is there anytime she hits the stage, and it's very clear, right? And it's really empowering to watch her. But the woman that dissolves when she gets off, you're kind of just like, shit. We're like stretching this little 28-year-old girl who's only 5'2" as thin as we can as we break her. think she's like 28, 30.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
It's young. Yeah. Like it's just clear how much the like the tension and the pressure and like it was interesting to just visually see what this industry does to a human being, especially of one who you'd think would be almost invincible.
Oh God, yeah, I can't even imagine.
Yeah. So I actually recommend it. It gives you a good kind of glimpse into the back of Lady Gaga. It's fun to watch her create and sing.
I don't know anything about her aside. Like, I don't know anything about her really. Like, you know.
No, I think it's great. You learn about her family. You learn about where the new album came from. You learn about her struggles in getting through it. You learn about her chronic pain and what she's going through to get all that done. You know, all that kind of stuff. Like, you go all the way into like her in a doctor's office while she's. This is the insane part of it, why I was like, wow, I don't want to be a star. Is she's in the doctor's office on the gurney with like a fucking robe on, not even a robe, that stupid like paper thing they stick on the front of you. And she's getting shots in her hip while also getting an X-ray, all trying to figure out how to solve the pain and stuff. And they're looking at like all the abscess fluid that's formed inside of her and shit like that.
Gross.
And they're like, we got to go through this whole treatment, and they're going through like this whole stage of treatment. This doctor's sounding very serious, and then this like other girl in the background is like, we've got to get her ready for that interview. And the doctor's there giving her shots and doing her scans and like doing the whole treatment while another girl is painting her face to get ready to get out the fucking door as fast as possible. And I was just like, oh.
That'd be stressful.
I couldn't even imagine. Like, you don't even have 5 seconds to sit down and try and get treated for your fucking chronic pain.
Yeah, or get process everything that's happening.
Yeah. Like, any second you're there, this girl is there ripping a brush through your hair while you're also the doctor sitting there going, don't worry, your shoulder might fall out. You know, like it was kind of cool.
Your knee is just shitty now.
Yeah, that's just shitty now. That's just how it is.
I remember me and my buddy, we were playing Resident Evil 5 back in the day, and we were trying to get like all 1,000 points in it or whatever, achievement points. And we did. But in the midst, you had to do everything on the hardest mission, get all the treasure and all stuff. So when we were like grinding up missions that like one of us hadn't gotten the highest rank yet, and like we'd just be replaying it, and like when we couldn't do it, we would turn down the game volume and just pump up our fucking Lady Gaga like jam list, and we would always do better with that on. I don't know why, but like
I focused on drawing so much better when I started turning on her music. I always did. There was something about it. It's like it's a drown in the background with a little bit of poetry.
Just drawing. Just like I am born this way.
Yeah, totally, completely, 100%. It's something about. Not even something about it. It's very clear what it's about, right? A sheer sense of responsibility, connection, emotion, and sheer commitment to her craft and what it is. And every time she pops up, it's always really impressive.
Yeah.
Just impressive stuff. So I recommend it. If you are even the smallest fan of her, or just interested in watching what the life is like of an extraordinarily, probably the biggest pop star on the planet, it's a really good look into it. And I'm not a big documentary fan. I had a good time. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So my stuff was good and of class. And then Cal.
You want to do your playing?
He's going to bring in some fucking sass.
Let's go to Cult of Chucky. The review. First off, I want to do a little non-spoiler thing first, and then I'm going to be going into spoilers. So here's a warning. Cult of Chucky is good. I had a lot of fun with it.
Oh.
This really depends on what kind of Chucky fan you are. The first 3 movies are very serious. The 2 after that, Bride and Seed, are way more humorous, and a lot of fans didn't like that. And then Curse went back to being dark, and a lot of fans loved that. This one kind of treads the line in between both. It's a little goofy, but with like dark edge kind of thing going throughout it.
Selling a fucking cursed doll with the soul of a serial killer in it is a harder sell today than it was in the 90s.
Totally. There's a reason this didn't come out in theaters.
Yeah.
It was straight to DVD. So I think if you're a fan of any of them, check this one out. It is really ridiculous and like cheesy, and you know they filmed it on a shoestring budget, and it's cleared sometimes, but like it is that kind of movie. Like, don't come to this looking for like I'm gonna get spooked, because you're not. You're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh at how bad some of the effects are, and I'm not even sure if that's intentional. But you're gonna laugh at some of Chucky's lines, and that is intentional. So it's just a good ride. That's all I have to say. I won't go into spoilers now.
Coming into it basically like you would with Krampus.
Yeah, kind of that vibe. Yeah. Krampus is way more of a good movie.
Still haven't seen it.
Yeah, this is very like schlocky stuff. Like, so if you don't know, Chucky is the he's the doll. He's the killer doll. Y'all know him. Everyone's seen Chucky.
Everyone knows
right?
Chucky. No,
he's a doll possessed by a serial killer. He was dying on the floor.
It's like saying you don't know what fucking Jason doesn't look like.
He used voodoo to get into a doll as he was dying, and then put his soul into a doll. If he stays in the doll too long, he starts becoming meat in that doll, and he'll be in that body forever. So he wants to transfer his soul into a human. That's the crux of the first 3 movies. He's trying to transfer his soul into the body of a child. Andy goes after him all 3 movies. Also gets burned alive at the end of both of them and gets rebuilt. End of both of them by the manufacturer. It's like, we gotta figure out what went wrong with this doll. And it's like, this was the one that tried to kill people. Maybe let's just let this one be a glitch and throw it out.
Let's just leave it in the fire. No, let's remold the plastic.
They've always been goofy in that way, right?
Yeah.
Even when the first 3 were taking themselves super seriously, it was always like, okay, there's fucking magic and like all this stupid shit.
Yeah.
Anyways, Andy was a little kid from the first 3. He makes a return in this one.
He's a grown up.
He's a grown up now. It's the same kid who played. He's grown up now. He's in this movie. At the end of Curse, he was in an after credit scene. Chucky mailed himself to Andy to go fuck with him again, I guess. He pops out of a box. Andy pulls a shotgun on him and is like, says some shitty snarky line and blows Chucky's head off. And you're like, how's there ever gonna be another Chucky movie? In this movie, starts with Andy. He fucking has Chucky's head, like, in a safe on like 2 spikes, and it's like ripped in half, and like he's like basically like half dead, and he's just like this living doll, and Andy's just enjoying torturing this doll who like ruined his childhood. And you're like, well, this guy's fucked up. So you're like, okay, this is weird. Like, how's this movie even gonna go? Then it flashes back to the people from the last movie. She's in a sanitarium now, or a psych ward, because everyone Chucky killed got blamed on her, right? So she's like, there's a killer doll, and everyone's like, okay. So then they like bring out a Chucky doll, and they're like, look, this thing can't kill anyone, and she's like, okay, and you're like, that's Chucky. You're like, but wait, his head's over there. So you're all of a sudden like, you start guessing. You're like, excuse me, how is this doll gonna do this from there, or like, what's happening here, right? So the doll, sure enough, starts doing stuff, and you're like, oh, who is this? Is this Tiffany in Chucky's body? Is this Glenda or Glenn in Chucky's body? His kid from Seed of Chucky. So it kind of keeps you guessing. You're always on your toes. You're like, oh, this is actually kind of fun, like trying to figure out what has gone on here. Andy, meanwhile, my first thought of having this killer heads doll, it was like, why aren't you trying to make money off this, man? Why don't you take this, record a conversation, like hide a camera, right, and just like talk to the doll, and just have it go on for a long time, so no one can be like, oh, that's a pre-automated response or something. It's like, no, this thing's having a full conversation with you about all this weird shit. You show it to someone, you're like, I have a killer doll. They actually do something like that in the movie, but he brings it. He's like watching his old failures on a computer with Chucky's head in the background, and he like brought Chucky's head to like, I don't know, 2 scientists or something, and he's like has a drill, and he's just drilling into Chucky's head. And he's like, ow, 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 ow. he's like, no, it's real. It's alive, and they're like, and they kick him out, and he's like, just his life is all sad and pathetic. Anyways, shit's going down at the sanitarium while this is happening. Another Chucky doll gets introduced, and then it's like trying to play games with you there. It's like, which one's doing it? And because you haven't seen him yet, you're like, oh fuck, okay. So Andy, this is my biggest problem with the movie. Andy comes. Okay, so Andy sees this like article. People started dying at the sanitarium. He sees it online. He's like, Chucky murders again. Like the doll is being blamed for all these killings in the sanitarium. Everyone thinks it's the girl, but whatever. Andy, he's like, oh fuck. He like looks back. He sees Chucky's head. It's right there, still talking to him. He's like, okay. He's like, fuck you, Chucky. He like goes, unleashes this other safe. He gets out this other new Chucky doll. And you're like, ooh, what's gonna happen? It has a different haircut, so it looks different. So you're like, okay, he's like made it look different. He has a plan here. Go back to the sanitarium. So he's driving to the sanitarium. It's all this like high tension shit. Driving. Fucking. What happened was Chucky found a way to, with little to no explanation, just make other versions of himself. Just like put his hand on you, and he's like, voodoo umbala, and he's like, whoop, and there's another Chucky. That's it. That's all it takes. And he said he found it in a Voodoo for Dummies book. A little unsatisfying that he's this powerful now with no explanation. So he's doing that to all these dolls. So that's clear. It's clearly he's making a cult of himself, basically. That's why it's called Cult of Chucky.
Okay.
So you're like, okay, he's fucking everyone up. This is great.
You could have just made it more simple that he learned how to split his soul.
Yeah.
That would have been cooler.
There could have been a cooler explanation for it. It was kind of like this throwaway joke line, and it was like, that's a little unsatisfying. Yeah. But whatever. It's voodoo dolls. Like, I don't care. So Andy, again, the movie's putting all this pressure on him. He's coming in as a savior as his shit is going down the sanitarium. People's bodies are dropping. Like, he comes in. He punches a security guard to get in. They immediately imprison him, which is not how that would work. They would just call the cops on him. Yeah. And he's in this white padded room. And I'm like, okay. And he brought all this artillery in his truck. And I'm like, what are you doing, man? So the head guy gets this package. He like opens it, and it's it's the Chucky doll. Andy mailed it somehow, and it got there before he drove the truck there. How did that happen, Mike? I didn't even think about that. Whatever. And it's the shaved head Chucky doll, and everyone's like, and you're like, oh fuck. So then Chucky makes that one come alive, and you're like, oh fuck, Andy's plan must be backfiring. Maybe it's a bomb or something. What's going on here? The Chucky doll with the no hair goes to Andy's room because they know he's here now, and he's like, I'm gonna go fucking kill him. Goes in there. Like, Andy's basically like, I've planned my entire childhood around this. I'm gonna kill this fucking doll. The doll opens the door. Andy runs at him. Doll immediately, like, gets him in the knee with a knife. He falls down, and then, like, they have a scramble, and he kills the doll. And you're like, okay, he did it.
So why did he bring the doll?
He still got injured. He reaches his hand into the doll's stomach, and a gun comes out. He placed a gun inside the doll. That was it.
Why?
That was the entire thing.
Why? Like,
that was the entire thing.
But why put it in a doll?
I don't... So he'd have a gun in the asylum? I don't know why. Because I guess he planned on getting imprisoned to get in there?
Or that he thought the doll would come to life and that we could get the gun out of the doll?
Yeah, or like he could just... Even if a doll didn't come to life, he could just rip it out of there, I guess.
That's not a plan.
That's not a good plan. The whole movie was building up this thing, like, where I was like, oh, he's going to go in there and he's going to kill, like he's going to be the Punisher for Chucky dolls. Like, I thought there was going to be, like, a mass of them running around.
I would have had more fun if, like, he put a spell on it that he could put his own soul into the doll, and it was him fighting the other dolls as a doll.
Anything would have been...
That would have been fucking
anything
funny.
would have been cooler, especially when you're bringing back the same child actor from these first three movies. I was like, what a pitiful plan. So
and then, like, make him immortal as, like, the doll that fights the other dolls, and then suddenly you have a whole fucking Puppet Master series to run from.
Yeah,
like,
you could even do that. Anyways, it's just like, so it was really weird, right? And so then he wastes all his bullets on this doll that he's killed.
So the gun wasn't any help in the
It wasn't any help at all. He wasted all on the same doll he pulled out of the stomach. So he wastes all the bullets. Meanwhile, Chucky has been fucking with this girl who he blamed all the murders on her family, right? And he takes over her body. He places his hand on her head, takes over her body. He's in a human body, right?
That's all it took all this whole time was him to touch someone?
He needs to touch them and say the incantation, which takes a while. It's a whole thing. But yes, that's all he needed to do.
Yeah, but it's just 6 fucking movies and he never tied anyone down. I think he has.
So, no, he has. In Seed of Chucky, if I'm not mistaken, he realized he liked being Chucky, like the infamous killer doll. So it's not really his goal anymore to get out of the body. Tiffany got out of the body, his girlfriend, who was played by Jennifer Tilly, and then they transferred her soul into actual Jennifer Tilly, so she can still play the same character. So she's just going around as the actress Jennifer Tilly. It's fantastic.
That's kind of clever.
So, anyways, she gets she gets possessed by Chucky. It's Chucky in her body, and they do this really cool thing. I don't know if you remember what Chucky looks like as a human.
A bit.
With really long hair, wearing a scarf and a trench coat.
A little bit, yeah.
Immediately, she rocks the exact same outfit. I don't even know where she got the trench coat from. She has a trench coat, the scarf, her hair is, like, swept back just like his. She's like this, like, female cosplay of Charles Lee Ray, which is really sick, and she's walking around, and she does a great performance for being in such a shitty movie. Like, I thought her, like, change on a dime to, like, being Charles Lee Ray was really great. So then she goes into the room with Andy, and he's like, he thinks it's her, and he's like, I've come to save you, and then he realizes, and she, like, does the laugh like Chucky and realizes him. She just locks him in there. Fucking bounces. And then the movie, he gets, he goes with Tiffany in the car, and they drive away with another Tiffany doll in the back, so she can do it too. And, that's the story.
What happened to all the other dolls?
They largely got murdered.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
That's really bad.
Yeah.
That's really bad.
It's really shocking.
Oh.
And there's a lot of, like, moments in this movie where, like, the effects are terrible, right? So, like, they'll do this, like cinematography, like, there's this great shot of, like, this stark white room, and this woman's, like, lying down, and she's strapped down, and there's a glass ceiling above her, and Chucky had, like, he did something, like, he hit the glass with something else, so it cracked, right? And it's this slow cracking, and it's, like, pretty nicely shot, and then the glass starts shattering and, like, coming down on her, and there's this nice, like, slow-mo shot, and I'm like, this actually looks pretty good. Shard of glass hits her neck, her fucking head pops off.
No.
It's like the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. And like, I was just having such a good time. Because, like, again, I don't think I was supposed to laugh at that part. I think I was supposed to be like, fuck yeah. But, like,
no.
It was so enjoyable because of that. This movie has no budget, you know?
Yeah, that's fine, but it's when you have a no-budget film that you should be being more clever with your stuff.
Nope. They just wanted to show it. There were some cool, like, practical effects, like when the doll's head got stomped, it looked like, did you ever see Toxic Avenger? Like those old trauma films?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when they're like, it's like someone's head's gonna get run over, so they have a shot of a person's head on the road, and they're like, no! And then, like, it cuts away, and it's, like, clearly a watermelon like, going away. They have a couple shots like that in this movie that are, like, really fun. But again, I'm not sure. I think that's what they're going for.
I think that sounds really intentional, especially considering how easily you can get away with not doing that.
And Chucky, like, you know, him walking around still looks bad, like, 30 years later. He still doesn't look great. They haven't gotten, I don't know, the animatronics to do it right.
At least he was animatronic.
Partially.
But, no, I mean, even just in story point, like, you think you could flesh it out just to, I mean, fuck, I could come up with 3 ideas I just did, right? To just kind of
that was
play
the biggest,
around.
But that was the biggest disappointment was Andy's plan. It was so poor. It was so piss poor. It was like, you've had all your life to plan the revenge around this doll, and you fucked it up immediately.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if the kid didn't want to come back for another one. I don't think he has anything else going on. I feel like he would want to do another one.
No, but even then, like, just play up with the story a bit. Like, okay, so his new power, right, could come from him learning how to divide his soul. That would have been kind of interesting, right? And then, like, he can split himself up only so many times, right? And then
we don't know if there's a limit or not. He had, like, 4 of him in this movie, I think.
But that would be my point right there, is just, like, you know, he can only cut his soul up so much, and then there's only so many of them, and there's your Cult of Chucky, blah, blah, blah. You're fine, and there's a good sound explanation. And then, like, if he's got the doll's head in the box, then the ones that were from the body, how did he get from the head into the ones in the...
So that's left up to your interpretation at this point. In the previous movie, there's a lot of lore to Chucky. In the previous movie, Curse of Chucky, he just got mailed to this family from, Tiffany, or Jennifer Tilly, is now sending Chucky out just to places, right? That seems to be her MO, because at the end of that movie, once he's done fucking with this family, he gets sent to Andy in the post-credit scenes. It seems like that's what she's doing. She's just sending dolls to people so he can fuck with them. Presumably, because this is the same head of the doll that got mailed at the end of the last one, he learned how to do this at some other point, and he's been...
sending them off ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then, again, just massage things a little bit into a little
bit. A little more lore could make it, like, really fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, just a little more. Not... I get the temptation to be like, Voodoo for Dummies, and it isn't even like a timely reference.
Yeah.
The For Dummies books are from like the 90s. I mean, they're still around, but like it's not like a like
everything's named for dummies here.
Unless I missed like a sentence where he said like more about it, but I'm pretty sure that was the only line referencing what he learned or what the rules were to it.
You could have a couple of visual scenes, and anyways, ugh.
Yeah, like I don't recommend you watch this at all. Like I don't recommend, it's a very specific type.
Like they're redoing Friday the 13th, right?
Hopefully, we don't know. Oh no, it was put on hold because the rights are having an issue. I think.
I thought I just read a tweet today about it being confirmed.
Oh, maybe it's Friday the 13th today as we're recording, so maybe they announced it.
Yeah, I think it just got confirmed today. But like they redo Friday the 13th, like as much as we might go back to like literal origin of Jason and everything back to the original source, like. I hope they take some interesting turns with it and massage it out. And like as much as you're playing back on that old 90s trope where like the story didn't matter, Jason worked because it was just the spirit of this like undead kid who was tormented and his mother, blah blah blah. Like it was just enough to make the backstory work and leave the character to go off on his own.
Sure, yeah,
sure, whatever, I can walk on.
That's fine.
Right? But as you're massaging this and as you move along to each step, I'm really hoping like when they remake Friday the 13th, like that they don't just go like, oh well. Everyone likes the campy 90s stuff, so like we can just write in shit like he hit a gun in a doll. Like you do have to still be clever because the 90s horror films before they reached the 13th episode movie, they were kind of clever in the beginning.
His plan was so incompetent that I almost have to think it's like a plot device for the next movie.
I guess
like it was so bad. That's what I'm hoping to believe that he had like some other plan. It was just. Yeah, because as exciting as it was to see him, I even like the idea of him like being fucked in the head and he's like keeping this head to torture. Like he had a date.
That was fine. I was with you in the beginning.
Yeah, isn't that a cool concept? He's like keeping this doll. He's just as fucked up as it is now. He's like smoking a joint in front of it and like he's just like Chucky's like, can I have a hit? And he like tries to give it to him and why would you try to give it to him? And then he like snaps at him and shit. Like I don't know. There was a lot of good concepts in there, but like that was a total swing and a miss. And I would like some explanation of the voodoo behind Chucky.
Or even just be more clever with it from now on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was so there's limitless room to expand on it because they were so vague about it. But like I would have liked.
Yeah.
What I did really like about this was just like the constant guessing and like I was like, oh yeah, I was like, this is fun to like, what did he do? I thought for sure because when he had a kid.
Yeah, but like my point of being clever is like, don't build up a really interesting mystery because you're like, oh, I have this really cool mystery idea, unless you have a really cool solution.
No, you're right. It was like kind of a little unsatisfying.
Yeah.
What I was thinking was because he had a kid in Seed of Chucky, the kid didn't really want to kill. It wasn't really about that. Not about that life. Way more on the peaceful side. Didn't know if he wanted to be a boy or a girl. Like wrestling with gender issues. Chucky wanted to be a boy. Tiffany was like, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
So there's interesting stuff to tackle with that character. And I thought maybe in this one he had convinced Glenda or Glenn to go on a kill spree with him, and he's like, come on, just this once. Take one of my bodies. We can do it. Like, we'll just have a little father-son bonding. And I thought that the whole thing was going to be like, he was going to kill someone. He's going to be like, I don't like this, Dad. And you're going to be like, dun, dun, dun. It was fucking Glenda the whole time. Because you haven't seen him in, like, 7 years at this point. And it would have been, like, a cool, like, little fan throwback for me.
Maybe. Even then, like, you still just... It's a tide of clever, small changes that make things inside of those tongue-in-cheek, don't take it too seriously movies that make things a little bit more...
This one trod the line
and simplify it, much more simplify it, right? Like the reason why like these things work when they're goofy and they're a little bit more tongue in cheek and they're not meant to be like scares and all that stuff, and you're really just playing up on old like gore slasher horror tropes and stuff like that, is that we left the core of it very simple. And anytime there is a twist is very simple, but it just moves everything else ahead to be exciting. Like you've got classic character who came back again after all this time. You've got Chucky back after all this time. Right? Don't make their stories anything more complex. We started off with them being a loser and like, tormenting this head. Okay, cool, right? And then like just literally spawn it off from there that, his body parts or something got picked up in the garbage or something like that. And then when it split off, like he was able to put his soul into other things and it just trailed from there. And that's how it all happened. Done. Don't care about the rest, right? Don't give me anything more. That's all.
Well, this is as simple as it could be.
Yeah.
This was Voodoo for Dummies. This was very simple.
Yeah, but with more. But I mean, simple, but being clever with it, right? Because Voodoo for Dummies isn't clever.
No, it's not.
Like we can be more clever and keep it very simple without going into some sort of highly complex lore.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy the lore. I'm not gonna lie. I'm excited to see where it goes. If it keeps going. Do you think in this day and age, they were supposed to do a Child's Play reboot years ago, but it never fell through. Do you think in this day and age that could work?
What?
Just straight up, like a reboot of Chucky. Could that still be scary, or would it kind of be like my girlfriend? Whenever she sees me watching these movies, she's like, "This isn't scary. It's a doll. I could just like hold it back with my hand."
Yeah.
And it's like totally like yes, you could.
No.
But those movies, I remember scared people. Like when I was a kid, I was scared of them, and I know other people were. Do you think that could they make this doll terrifying without? I know Annabelle is like a thing people find scary. But it's like
you
a
mean
demon possessing
could
it.
they make a doll terrifying? Yeah,
could they make this killer doll terrifying?
But it wouldn't work in Chucky. But they could make a killer doll scary.
I'm saying Chucky reboot, like Child's Play reboot, like fresh start.
People wouldn't want that though, right? Because when it comes down to Child's Play and all that kind of stuff, people don't take it that seriously anymore. It's the same thing when they do the Friday the 13th reboot and all that stuff. If they take it really seriously, it's not going to work. We've already put Jason into space and made him a cyborg.
Hell yeah, we did.
Yeah, like, don't take it too seriously. When fucking Nightmare on Elm Street gets remade, which it will.
It did.
It did?
Yeah, like 2010.
Oh, fuck.
Terrible movie.
Okay.
Just bad.
All right, let's just say we tried to make a more contemporary version like It, right? Like, everyone's trying to pull an It with this shit. You're not going to take it that seriously, right? We're going to play up on the goof factor that is a little bit inside of Friday the 13th, right?
This is a little off topic. Did you like the Friday the 13th remake from 2009? Did you ever see it? I just found out recently that it's not like very well received within the horror community, which is surprising to me because I think it's actually like pretty fun. Right. As like a modern slasher flick, I was like, yeah, that was totally serviceable.
I don't remember.
It starts off with almost like a short film. There's like a good 25 minutes where it's like Jason hunting people at a campsite, and you're like, oh wow, this is going on for like it seems like it's the movie, and then all of a sudden like 25 minutes in, it's like Friday the 13th, and then the movie starts, and you're like, holy fuck, okay.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing it.
Oh no, it was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I've never been a big fan of any of those long-running horror franchises though either. Like I've seen a lot of them. I've seen a lot of the Nightmare on Elm Street stuff. I've seen a lot of Friday the 13th and Jason stuff. I've seen a lot of the Halloween. That's Michael Myers, right?
Yeah.
Michael Myers, I'm actually more partial to. He's more of my favorite.
Yeah. He's the OG.
Yeah, but I don't know. I've never had the connection to it as it devolves over extremely long franchises.
Yeah, I mean, they're all fairly one note. Yeah. I would say I would say Nightmare on Elm Street keeps the most interesting just because of the things Freddy can do.
Yeah.
You know, they can at least see interesting imagery, whereas it's always like
Jason's just
here's
always
Jason lumbering towards you,
stabbing stuff, and they tried to kill him. It didn't work. Okay.
Yeah. Whereas Freddy is like, oh, my head's giant in this one, and I ate you on a bed, or I turned into a pool of blood, or I was a TV, or like something like that. You know,
something interesting.
Yeah, there's at least something going on there. I think,
and that's the thing. Like you're talking about making another one scary again. The most likely one to make scary again in the same context as it is Friday or Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, Freddy definitely.
Freddy could be made into something that is easily horrifying, right?
Yeah. And much like it, he can take different forms, fuck with you. There's always that element of unexpectedness. Yeah. It's not just,
and
hey, that guy's walking slowly towards me.
Yeah, he's ethereal. There's nothing you can do to stop him, really, at the end of the day.
I really liked that they took, like, Jason's invincibility in Jason X and made it a plot point about, well, we captured him and we're trying to figure out, like, how he's invincible. I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. That's fun.
Yeah, I couldn't follow that. That movie was a little bit...
That movie is super fun. It's great.
I'm giving Cal an accusatory stare.
Okay, he takes someone, he's in space, and, like, he's obviously this lumbering idiot. He takes someone's face, puts it in liquid nitrogen, and, like smashes it into little bits. And then, after he becomes Jason X, he gets caught in that simulation, and he's back on Crystal Lake. It's a simulation of that. And there's these two girls, and it's like, they're, like, topless, and they're like, hey, Jason. He's like, and then it clips away for a second, it cuts back to him, and one's in a sleeping bag, and the other one's tied up, and he's just beating them with each other. Like, that was fucking awesome. It didn't take itself seriously. That's what was great about that movie.
No, it did not.
It was very dumb.
Yeah.
It was very dumb.
I don't know. There's again.
It's not. I can understand why you wouldn't enjoy watching it.
But I like goofy horror films. Like I really do. You know, like I liked Puppet Masters back in the day. I liked any of those ones that were just funny. Krampus would probably be something up my alley. You've pointed out a few recently that we've watched.
Trick or Treat was kind of goofy.
Trick or Treat, yeah, like stuff like that. Totally down. Like I love those movies.
Those ones are so much more, I find, like refined now than even Jason X was. Like it wasn't that like long ago Jason X came out, but I guess it was actually.
But that's the
these are like so refined with the comedy and the horror blended together. Yeah. There is like it's so much more well made. I find, whereas like Jason X comes off as schlocky at best. You know what I mean?
But doesn't it have to be refined in the way that the horror is still frightening and or there is that kind of horror component? Like I'm fine with the fact that Jason's been around for 13 movies or more and he's not frightening anymore. That's not the problem, right? It's just in a proper refinement of a good like horror in the genre of horror where there's lots of slashers and all sorts of like, you know, gore and shit like that, and you're gonna have this thing that's chasing you down and doing that. I want to be having fun with it. Take us to the scene from one of your favorite horror movies there, the one where...
You're Next.
You're Next, yeah. Like, she's running around, and then she takes a blender and stabs someone in the head with the blender, and then takes the time to plug it into the wall and turn it on. Like, that was the best scene in the whole movie.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
And it's just fucking funny. At the same time, it's gross, and at the same time, it's like, fuck yeah.
It's totally a morbid, high intense scene, and yet there's still this like little bit of like, huh. You almost have like nervous laughter. You're like,
No, you do laugh. Like Jed and I laughed, and we were almost a bit like, fuck yeah, because like when she stabbed him with it, we were like, oh, and then we're like, plug it in, and then she reached for the cord, and we're like, oh yeah.
I love the fake out of that the boiling water or the coffee pot or whatever it was that they kept showing throughout there. They're like, oh, someone's going to throw that boiling water on someone, and then they throw it on them. It's like nothing.
It's just cold, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Your Next is fucking great. It's a great take on, like, a modern slasher, I find.
Yeah, but that's what I mean by being clever with it and more fun, and that's where, like, Trick or Treat or other films in that same genre.
Yeah, and that's
where you're going to be more clever with it.
No, for sure. Like, there isn't... Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're totally on the money. There's an element of cleverness to those movies, whereas, like, something like Chucky or even Jason is just, like... It's very much like they're aware of what they are, but they're almost not quite sure what to do with it.
I almost feel like with Chucky and Jason, they should just go full fucking Army of Darkness with that shit.
Yes, yeah, totally.
Like, just go stupid, right? and have a crazy ass wild fun time with rubber poop monsters and all that kind of stuff, and just get into the humor.
It'd be great if like Chucky overtook a city because there was like 1 billion of him crawling over like skyscrapers and stuff. Yeah, like that would be fun.
And then there's like a team of people who are like the Ash, right? And they're just up there at the top of it at the end, and they're just like,
and it's all the characters from the old movies. Like it's that would be fucking fun.
It'd be funny, and it'd pull a fucking like Rick and Morty with the Cronenberg universe, and Jerry takes over as like being a badass and shooting all this shit.
Andy finally kills Chucky or something, or the very last teaser at the end of the movie was someone else from one of the previous movies who has not been in there since Child's Play 2, I believe. So,
and like that's the thing I mean, but like by cleverness, that kind of washes over stuff too. Because like with Your Next, the entire family was the most retarded group of human beings that have ever existed. They're like, I don't understand how they were that dumb. The whole like rule of like don't go out that door, and they all kept going out the fucking door. They were clearly getting taken out. Like 3 of them had been taken out, and they're like, all right, so I'm going to go alone over here. Like no one within this situation it's okay to go into the basement alone right now. Yeah, you know, like, and then not cluing into the person who is killing them, which was like literally he's like stabbing one, and he's just like, it's not me, and they're all like, okay, you know. Like, they all die in dumbass ways where you're like, what fucking morons, but you're okay with it because the movie plays up with a lot of clever tones and a lot of clever things. It just makes it more fun.
Well, the main character is infinitely prepared in that movie. She doesn't do the horror movie thing of like she has a weapon and she puts it down. She doesn't have one. Next scene, she's always trying to pick one up. Yeah. She's always trying to be armed. Yeah. She's prepared.
And that's what I mean. Like, just give me those components and make it more interesting and more clever, and that makes a good horror movie to me. That's one that's more tongue-in-cheek.
You can still have high intensity even if someone's armed. It's like what we always talk about the video games where, like, we're over these defenseless, like, walking sims where it's like, all you can do is wait to get spooked, and it's like, that's not very fun. No. Like, defending yourself is fun. You don't always need to be the most powerful person in the world. It doesn't need to be Dead Space where I'm, like, ripping these guys in half, like...
Yeah, but I mean, like, even then, it's a sense of powerlessness. Even when you use a weapon, can make things more scary. Like Silent Hill 2, where like you could have guns, but like they weren't as helpful as you'd hope.
No, and like your pipes broke and stuff, and like you only had a couple swings, and like so you could fend them off and then get out of there.
Yeah, and there's other games just like that where like maybe the monsters just like it's not you can't unload on them.
Alien Isolation, I thought actually did a good job of.
Arming you a little bit.
Yeah, giving you a little bit. You could never actually quite kill the alien or anything, but you could like fend it back for a little bit and enough to go hide again. It did that rather well.
Yeah, and you could even had other threats which you could actually fully fend off, right? Yeah. So like, yeah, you're right. It's okay. I mean, I'm not a big fan of the game itself myself, but
they did the thing I wanted. You know, it's more satisfying. I still think there's room to grow in that genre where it's like you're not ultra powerful, you're not like fucking Rambo or anything tearing through these people, so there's no fear. But there's got to be like a balance. You have to feel a little, you know.
And even add levels of challenge, like you know, like as a mechanic that I found was kind of interesting was for Last of Us. You have the clickers who you could not fend off, and then even shooting them was fucking annoying in the beginning. And then you could only silent stab them, but then eventually you could stab them if they jumped onto you, but you'd break your shiv, and you only have so many shivs, so you had to really figure this out. Yeah. And then eventually at the end, of course, you're just fucking like, right. But like before even that point, even towards the end, the clickers were always something that you had to fucking run away from first and like kind of manage your materials and figure out because they weren't the easiest thing to fucking drop. Like that gave me a more sense of a fear of those fucking things as many times as you die at them in the very beginning of the game.
Clickers are always a one-hit kill, right? If they find you? They attack you?
But that's the thing, you had to earn the perk, right, with the pills, which were also extremely limited in that game, to get the perk that let you stab them if they jumped up on top of you. Yeah.
But like otherwise, they killed you one hit.
Otherwise, right? It was just like if they touched you, there was no saver.
Yeah, there was no like they swipe you once or anything, right? Yeah,
it was just they jump up and they bite your face, and that's it. It's over.
Right. Yeah, and that also gave that game a high intensity thing. It's like, any one of these 5 wandering things could one hit kill me.
Yeah, and if I wake up one, they all come because they all scream at each other. So like, how do I do this quietly? Yeah, you know, and using the bow was fucking annoying. So
God, that game's good.
It's such a good game.
What a good game.
I think the second one's coming soon.
That was a fun little horror discussion.
You know, it's something I actually just I found out. We're still on the right with the production time for Last of Us 2.
Why? How?
Because IGN put up an article that said in it clearly that they were talking just about Last of Us 2, that Last of Us 2 has been in production since 2014.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so it has been as long as we thought it was, and it's more than likely.
But I mean, they were making So, I mean, we were right, but they made Uncharted 4 in between that, all that
They
too,
did,
right?
they did, but like, remember what we were saying is like our fan theory was that they finished Last of Us 1 and immediately started working on like actual production of Last of Us 2.
Yes, yeah.
That's true.
Okay, that's good.
Turned out completely true.
That's what he said. He said something about, like, he said to Troy Baker on, like, a balcony one night.
Yeah.
He was like, what about this, you know, for 2 or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, so that's all 100% true. Our theory of it starting at that point was true.
Did you see, here's another fan theory for Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
Did you see the poster that recently got released?
Yes.
Did you see the dog in it?
Wait, what poster am I thinking of?
It's okay. I'll pull it up right now.
Yeah.
I'll put it up on the screen on the YouTube version as well.
Oh, that one. Yeah, I saw that one.
So this one right here.
Yeah. The one with the fist with the hammer and nail. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's this like dog shape. Everyone is like,
it's 2 trees. Oh no, it's pretty clearly a dog tree.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
It, like, I didn't see it at first, but like now looking at that totally looks like this is a snout, and then here's 2 ears.
It could also easily be just sheer chance. I've drawn shit and been like, oh fuck, look at that.
Totally. Yeah. It really looks like there's even 2 eyes right here though.
Yeah.
Like, do you think there's a dog companion or something? You think that's what that's hinting at?
I hope not.
Like, Ellie has a dog now?
I don't want a dog.
And Joel's not with you?
Every single fucking thing has a dog now. Far Cry 5, and it goes through the list, but, like, everything is always, like, your dog companion.
This says, like, what does the wolf represent? Could Naughty Dog be teasing that wildlife will play a greater role in the sequel? Are wolves and bears being mutated by the cordyceps fungus? Or could it symbolize that Joel is a lone wolf in The Last of Us Part 2? Yeah, it could be any of those things, too. It might not necessarily be.
I don't think it's going to be a threat.
Hey, you have a dog.
Yeah, I don't think it's a threat.
The big bad of Last of Us 2? It's a fucking wolf.
Yeah, like, that's the thing. Like, I don't take that as kind of being the context.
What if they went, like, totally Princess Mononoke with it, and it's this giant wolf?
Well, that's a contrast.
It's just a giant wood wolf, and you're like, they're like, how did we not see that before?
Or they're just like, they're stabbing with zombies and stuff, and then they're just like, it comes out and they're like, whoa, that's new. But looking at the contrast between 2 images of Ellie's with the little switchblade and then his.
This one is from last year, I believe.
Is it?
No, maybe not. It's using the same font. They had one last year that was kind of similar.
Okay, but I think this is the contrast between the 2. It's Joel's lone wolfness, and then, like, that's the whole idea. I think it's just imagery.
Yeah, it could be like...
I don't think it has anything to do with the story. I wouldn't see that coming in. Plus, Neil Druckmann wouldn't do something that lame.
PSX, so, like, we're introducing your new dog meat. And you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, well, then I'd be like, oh, Neil. Lame.
Oh, no, this was last year's poster. Yeah.
Okay.
Last year's poster also teased the design of Ellie's tattoo that was revealed. So this is, okay.
Okay. Yeah, but still,
I remember seeing
it
that
didn't turn
time.
out that she had, like, butterflies for weapons.
Hey, we don't know yet. You have a dog, and Ellie can also control butterflies in this because she's immune to the virus, and it allows her to communicate. This is Neil Druckmann's voice. And it allows her to communicate with insect life. And then it just, like, fucking zooms in on a butterfly, and then you tag stuff over her head. Great.
Basically, look at this imagery. Like, the tattoo is growing out of her, like the vines of the cordyceps, right? To symbolize her infection and everything like that. It's coming out of her veins, and it's what the cordyceps kind of look like. So there's that symbolization that's the art behind it. So if this wolf imagery is clearly in there as a wolf thing, I don't think it's literally going to be, it's literally a wolf, right?
No, you're right.
It's going to be some imagery that relates to the story behind the character and what that means, right? It could even represent the bad guy for all.
I was going to say big bad wolf.
Oh, yeah.
Joel is the big bad wolf.
Yeah, there you go. See, that's a good one. So, we'll see.
Well, we just cracked the code of Last of Us 2. Hope you enjoyed that. Look forward to our spoiler cast in 2019.
Yeah, no, it's going to come out next year.
2019, I said.
It's 2018's next year.
I know.
Yes.
That's why I said 2019.
I think it's coming out, like, fall of next year now.
All right. I hope you enjoyed this After Dark and our little horror discussion there, and our Last of Us 2 breakdown of the posters.
And also our speculation and confirmation of our intense fan theory that Last of Us 2 has been in production for far longer than they said.
Mm-hmm. Ellie controls insects now. Really interesting revelation, I think. If you want to find me on Twitter...
Joel turns into a dog.
I'm at the CalG. Mike is at Mike Kent Draws. And Pens and Pixels is across all social medias. Pick your poison.
Yeah. So be sure to give us a like, share, and subscribe on all of these major social medias for us. So be sure to hit us up on YouTube and check us out there. We have additional content as well as the podcast up there if you prefer YouTube as your media source. Give us a subscribe and a like there and share us around. We could always use love. You can also find us on iTunes. You can give us a rating and a thumbs up as well. And you can find us on SoundCloud. Also, across any of these, you can drop us a comment. We respond right away, and we love hearing from you guys. There's a lot more of you now, and we're really happy to have more listeners. So be sure to participate and open discussions, because we like them. And other than that,
you can email us at meetpensandpixels@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Is our email address for questions, concerns,
comments,
and hate mail.
Alright, other than that, we're officially out.
Keep on popping fresh.
No more popping fresh.
Woohoo! Is that noise it makes? It's like a giggle.